from Little Ballerine Creations, and welcome to month 5 of the Galaxy Block of the Month, or the Galaxy Sew Along. Now quickly, if you have just found these videos or decided that you want to come along this journey with us and make your own Galaxy quilt, you've probably missed the boat when it comes to signing up for the Block of the Month. But that doesn't matter, you can still come and play along with us. You just need to go out and find yourself a Galaxy kit. So this is the EPP kit. It's presented, I think these are pretty cool the way we present our boxes. All my kits, if you weren't aware, are all plastic free. We don't use one-use plastics anymore in our kits. So this is the Galaxy kit. Anyway, back on track. It comes with the full pattern, all 5 templates, and all the papers needed to create the quilt that you see on the front of the box. So if you're not in the Block of the Month but you still want to come and play along, you need to grab yourself one of these. You can ask your local quilt shop to order one in for you, or alternatively I'll put a link to my shop in the comments and you can grab yourself one of them and come along and play with us. So back to month 5 for the Block of the Month participants. This is what is in your parcel this month. So you will have your envelope, which has your monthly installment of your papers, and you'll have your printed pattern card. You're just going to have to ignore my pugs out there barking in the background. And these are the 2 blocks that we're making this month. So we're making 2 full blocks and our 4 filler hexagon blocks this month. So in your parcel, you will have your pom-poms in ink and they call it paper. You're going to have your fairy flakes in ink and paper. And then we're going to have our assortment of our tiny spots and stripes. Okay, so we are going to have our tiny stripes in clarity, which has a fun neon yellowy green stripe to it. We've got our tiny dots in opal. My dogs really are going silly. We've got our tiny stripes in honesty with the hot pink stripe, and to match that we've got our tiny dots in cosmic. And this month you will have, let's push those out of the way, a ½ yard or ½ meter cut, depending on whereabouts you are, of the feature fabric, which is One Man's Trash in the Glimmer colorway, so basically the purple colorway. This is such a fun print. There are so many fun things to find in here. If you open it up and have a look, you'll see there's soda cans, there's a fish bone, oh yeah, there's the wishing bone like of a chicken up here. There's just fun little cool things right throughout it. There's the wishbone there. Okay, so it's each side. It's just really cool. The raccoon on the apple core. We've got the raccoon getting into the rubbish bin, hiding in the flower, and then down here. Okay, so back on track. Could get lost in this fabric. These are the 2 blocks that I'm going to duplicate this month for you. Okay, so we're looking at this first one with the blue around it. It is actually that raccoon at the bottom of the bin sitting in the flower. So this is the boy here that we're going to be cutting out. Okay, so we're going to be looking at approximately that fussy cut there. But the second block I'm making is the raccoon under that flower. So, because I love that fussy cut and the dimension that it gives and the movement. My second fussy cut is actually this boy underneath, which is going to fit on your fabric because we have a ½ yard. There's going to be more than enough. So that's the first fussy cut we're looking for. Our second fussy cut will be down here. Okay, so they're the 2 fussy cuts we're looking at. Now, as with every month, I'm going to go in and I'm going to fussy cut other spots as well. So I'm going to fussy cut this boy with the apple core. I'm going to get him that's in the bin, and I think I will also grab this one as well. So let's have a look. If you're new to still reading repeats on fabric, you can see the repeat on this one is really quite simple. So we've got this piece here is a repeat, and this is a repeat. So basically it's kind of like on the angle. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So I envisage that everyone is going to have 3 across their 50 centimetre or ½ yard cut of fabric, but your exact positioning obviously of the raccoons is going to vary on where your shop's cut off your bolt. So you should still get 3 if something's amiss and you really find one, you've got more than enough across the width of fabric. So what we will be doing, or what I will be doing, my first fussy cut is this one up here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to come down here. My next fussy cut is the one at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, flip my fabric over, 4, 5, 6. And you can see I've got a little bit shy of a fat quarter that I've not touched, and I've done my 2 fussy cuts from. So as with anything, when we go to fussy cut, you know, your sandpaper board, your retractable pencil, turn your fabric over so you lay it right side down on your sandpaper board, and you start tracing. Now I've already jumped ahead and traced so that I can zoom you in, which is what I will do now, so you can see. If we stop the camera from bouncing. Okay, so this is my first fussy cut, which is the flower. Let me bring. Okay, so this is what we see on the right side of the fabric. This is what we're cutting, and this is what we see on the reverse side. So if you have a close look at your sheet, if I can pick it up, that came this month, you'll see that I've got this pink dot in the middle, which is actually the raccoon's back from underneath this one, and I've utilized the lighter purple stripe in his back to help create some movement within my block. So that is this purple stripe, or purple Y if you like, in that raccoon's back. So when I'm placing my template, remember I always place the etched side down. I'm going to center my template over the bit that I want. Now what I'm doing here, the V at the bottom, let's move that up a fraction for you. The V at the bottom, that's the Y that's on that bottom raccoon. So I'm putting my dot to the bottom of that V and I'm looking up. I'm using the stripes on the trash can to keep my template straight up and down. Now what I'm coming in to look at, I might try and zoom you in a bit closer, stop that from wobbling. See this floral, this bit at the bottom of the flower, it's actually symmetrical. So if I was to put an imaginary line through that flower, it appears to be the same on one side as what it is on the other. So I'm going to use that to my advantage when fussy cutting the center of this flower. See how we've got this pattern forming here? That's because that flower is symmetrical. So what I cut one side, I can cut the other side, and when they butt together, we're going to get that kaleidoscope type effect. So what I'm doing, I'm looking at this flower here and here. I'm putting this on here. I've got my first dot in the bottom of that Y of that raccoon. I might just zoom out a fraction. Okay, and then what I'm doing, my etched lines are face down on my fabric. Make sure I'm up high enough. I am lining my template up so that my etched lines meet the edge of that flower. So this little bit of the flower here that comes in, I am on purposely lining up my template so that that part of the flower, if I get it over, will be my reference point. See, I've got it just almost touching there and almost touching there. So when I'm happy with my spot, we do the 4 dots. And this is why we always trace on the back. We don't want those 4 dots on the front of the fabric because you're going to see them when you come to baste. And we trace it. Okay, so that's 1. And then we go across and we do the other 5 that we need to do. A second fussy cut. So I've gone and done my 6. A second fussy cut is the raccoon that is underneath. So this is the one we've just done up here. My second one I want is here. Now the reason I've done this fussy cut is because this print, again, if I put a line through it, it's symmetrical. So apart from the raccoon, the background, what's this side, is a mirror image of what's this side. So I'm utilizing that to my advantage, and I'm placing my template in the middle of this print. You can look straight up. So if you've got your fabrics in front of you, have a look so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to go and line it up in the middle of this part of the print. So I know I don't want that raccoon appearing in this fussy cut. So I've positioned my dot of my template right underneath that raccoon's head so that we don't get him appearing. And then I'm centering my template down the middle and I'm coming to the bottom. Now what I've chosen to do, let's see if I can get, okay, this is the bit of the fabric that we're playing with. Now I've got it on the reverse side, but see how I'm bringing in some of the darker purple at the bottom of my V. That is going to give me a bit of movement and difference when I come to create this block. See how we've got the dark right in the center and then we've got the light which forms that star. So that's what I've done. I've just moved it down enough that I'm getting that dark part will be on the bottom of my paper. Okay, so that's the fussy cut that we're looking at there. So if you're trying to duplicate what I've done, you are going to be just chopping off the edge of his ear, but that doesn't matter. We've got pretty much all of his tail, but our whole point of this one is more concentrating on the background of our fabric and keeping it aligned so it's in the center. Now what I also wanted to show you, they're the two that we need for the blocks this month. I'm also doing a third, this apple core guy. So I've put my template on him and I have centered him over the apple core. So he's not going to be sitting, he's like a secondary part of my fussy cut. I want my fussy cut to be based on the apple core. So if I just put that over there, okay, I've gone and cut 6 of those as well. So that fits nicely within everything else I've cut. Another one I'm doing is, you see this one here to the side. Now I've actually come in and I've just lined up my template. You can see this is the first fussy cut. I'll lift it up a bit. This was the first fussy cut we were doing, and this is one of the secondary extra fussy cuts I'm doing. So I've just come in and I've just lined my template right up next to it and gone, yep, that's easy. So that is super easy for me to duplicate 6 of those because I just go find these and I cut the next 6. What else have I done? That's him. Yep, further down here, we've got the guy on the other side. I've come in and I've decided to fussy cut him as well. So this one's on an angle, so he in the block will actually appear that way. I think that's all I've done at this stage because I want to use the rest of my fabric for my Prudence quilt because I think these are fun, cute guys that would work really well in the Prudence block. So they're the fussy cuts this month. I'm going to go and cut these out and I might actually baste and sew with you this month. So with that being said, we might do a refresher on cutting our pieces out. Now, as you would know by now, I don't use a rotary cutter when fussy cutting. If you use a rotary cutter when fussy cutting, your rotary cutter is always going to go beyond your trace line. And we don't want that because what happens if I want to come in and use this guy for another fussy cut and I've, my rotary cutter's cut into here and I'm potentially losing him as a possible future fussy cut. So we come in with our scissors. I use these Karen K. Buckley scissors. They are awesome. They've got a serrated edge on them, so they actually grab your fabric and make it easier to cut. And you have the serrated edge at the bottom, which is why I have a little bit of Tula pink ribbon at the bottom. So when I pick it up, I know which blade I want at the bottom of my fabric. Also, these are great for left-handed people too. So all we do is underneath, I've got my finger underneath that line. I'm just going to bring my scissors on that line, remove my finger because I don't want to cut it, and then cut into it. Oh, these ones might be getting a bit blunt. And then we just go and we cut around our shape on our line. And we do that for all the ones that we've traced. So this will create what we call Swiss cheese in our fabric. But like I said, we are maintaining the integrity of the rest of our fabric. There's my first fussy cut. You can see it's the start of me creating my Swiss cheese, but every fussy cut or every bit of fabric around that is now available for a potential new fussy cut in the future, whether it be this project or I throw it in my scrap basket and I could pull it out for a future project I didn't even know I was going to make. Okay, I'm going to go cut these out. I'll come back when all my pieces are cut out, and we'll have a quick refresh on glue basting. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I have been and cut out all the pieces I need for this month. So I have my spots and stripes done here, and these are the 2 fussy cuts which are pictured on our card, and these are the other 3 fussy cuts that I've cut out of my fabric. I'm going to put these aside for now because they're not part of month 5. They're just something I'm doing separately. So let's push them out of the way. This month, quickly want to discuss, I don't always thread match, but I am going to thread match this month. So I've got my superior bottom line thread donut out. And as you can see, this purple thread that's here is going to be a perfect match for my sewing this month. I'll bring them both up for you. It's a pretty good match, so I'm going to be using that colour to thread match this month. If I do a cream or an off-white or a grey, chances are my stitches are going to show. I've got my bobbin, so that's what I'm going to use. If you don't have a bobbin and you don't have the thread, just use the thread you've been using. It doesn't really matter. It's not really a game changer. Okay, I batch baste. If you've seen my back to basics videos, you'll know what batch basting is. I've also sorted out all my papers. A little housekeeping reminder to keep all your leftover papers together in the one spot because you will need them in month 12. I'm throwing all mine back in my month 1 bag, and I'm keeping them in my month 1 box. That way I know exactly where they are when I need them. So that's done. Batch basting. If you don't know what batch basting is, I do this all the time. I find it's really quick and easy way to baste. I'm just going to do it with my diamonds to start with. So to batch baste, all I do, making sure all my fabrics are face side down and going the same way. I'll lay them all out at the same time. Is that all on the screen? Yep. And then I'll just come along and I'll just drop a paper. So this is my batch basting. Like when I come to do my Sims, I'll just lay all my Sims out on my work surface. I'll drop a paper and then I'll come along and I will glue baste. So I can tell these are the 6 that I'm going to concentrate firstly, because this is just for one center of one block. So I need to make sure my papers are basted in the same spot. So quick refresh on the glue pen. We hold it like a pen. You can see that I've got the angle of the pen. It's not a flat surface. We're not going to be, rubbing it against the paper flat. We're going to do it on an angle like it's a pen. So pick up my paper. Might just zoom you in a little bit. Okay, move those up. So you can see why we put the reference holes on our papers, our reference holes from our templates onto our fabric. It helps us when we come to the placement of our papers. So I'm just looking, my dot's not quite in the middle of that stripe, so I know when I come to put my papers down, I'm actually going the center of that. See these down here? I actually want to put the corner of my paper on that center one just there. So my dots aren't always exact, but they give me an idea of where I'm going. So I'm just going to the bottom and I'm going to line that up with the top one. So we want a little bit of glue slightly away from the side. So we do one side, second side, we start on the fabric and then go. So we want to roll our fabric up over our papers so it forms a nice firm hold. You'll always notice I always leave a finger on the last corner that I've just done. Just gives it a few extra seconds of pressure. Okay, that's my first one basted, and then we just come along and repeat And again, I'm doing all these 6 together or at the same time so that I remember where I'm lining up the points. And we're just going to go and baste. Oops, that one there, I could feel that I wasn't forming a nice tight line over my paper, so I just went and pulled it over a little bit more. So we're doing fabric, fabric, and the paper for the last one. And then we go along and we continue to baste them. And this is the effect that we're going to start seeing. So I'm going to go, oh, I want to zoom you out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and baste the rest of these and get them ready to sew. Again, just lining up. And by laying all my diamonds down on my workspace, like I did at the start, I know that they're all going to be basted in the same direction, so therefore my tails are all going to be basted the same way. When I come to sew it together, they're all going to nest nicely at the back. I need these 2, again lining it up with that center line at the bottom, making sure it forms or sits straight on my diamond. Baste, fold, baste, fold. You just keep working your way around. Last one. Okay, that's those 6 done. Then we come to the others. So this one, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that my top diamond is on the line. You'll find a line on the trash can to make sure it goes straight up, and we're going in the middle of that Y that forms on that other raccoon's back. And we start basting again. Now you got to remember when basting your diamonds that you do need nice sharp points. There we go. Nice sharp points on all of them. If you've got excess fabric at these points, they're not going to nest together nicely. You're going to get a horrible looking effect. You're going to get too much fabric when you come to join the 6 points. If you've got excess fabric at those points, it's just too much. It's not going to sit flat. You'll see sometimes when people baste their diamonds that the inside, where all their diamond points join, it like buckles up or it can buckle down. It's because either their papers are not accurately cut or they've got too much fabric, excess fabric around. And you don't have to worry about the papers here because they've been precision cut for you. But if you are cutting your papers by hand, you are only human, so there are going to be variances. And yeah, you have to be prepared to work with those variances if you are cutting your papers by hand. Okay, what's this one? Number 4. Whoops. Just working our way around. Okay, last 2. Remember when we're applying the glue, not that line, we want to try and leave that little gap at the edge of the papers. It just makes it easier for when we're sewing together. If you've got big clumps of glue at the edge of your papers where your fabric folds over, it's just extra stuff that you've got to get your needle through when you're sewing. So it is something that comes with time, and as you've seen by me, it's not something I succeed with on every edge, but it's just something you need to work on. And you'll notice as I'm gluing, I tend to turn my pen to keep the point. I don't turn it every time. And another advantage about batch basting, by putting all my fabric and then my templates on, is my glue's not left exposed while I'm picking up papers and whatnot, because you always want to put the lid back on your glue so that you can stop it from drying out. Okay, so here we go. That's what this one's going to look like. We've got our pink bits in the middle. If you didn't tell anybody, they wouldn't know that it was a raccoon's back. But we know that. And then this one, you can see all my points are basted the same way. Therefore, they're all going to nest nicely underneath. Okay. So if you're new here and you've just stumbled on these videos and you want to know how to sew these together, go back to the month one, Galaxy month one video. I discussed, sewing your 2 halves of 3. So you'll sew seam 1, seam 2, do that twice, create your 2 halves of 3, and then bring them together and form that unit, and what to do to form the outside filler bits. I'm going to go and sew these, so it'll probably be tomorrow my time that I'm back filming the rest of this, and I'll have the completed blocks and I'll show you my other 3 at the same time. I think I might put one of the other 3, these ones, might pick my favorite out of this to add to my second Galaxy quilt. Okay, I'll pop back when these are done. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I have my 2 finished blocks for this month. So, as previously mentioned, I've duplicated the 2 blocks that are on your card. So this is, if I can pick it up, your first one, with the raccoon at the flower at the bottom of the trash tins. And then our second one, you can see by including, when I was talking about fussy cutting this print, by getting that purple at the very bottom corner, it creates the star, which just enhances that fussy cut a little bit more. Not a necessity, choice is totally up to you, but that's what we've done this month. I've still got to do my 4 hexagon fillers, and I'm finished for the month. Now, the other one I wanted to show you, I'll smooth these out of the way, was the other 3 fussy cuts that I'd done. So I think this one's kind of cute. The apple cores form their own little star. This one is actually going to go into my second version of my Galaxy quilt, the one I'm doing with the solids and from my stash. And this is another one with the raccoons going facing into the block instead of out of the block. And this bit in the center creates a bit of movement within the block as well. And then this guy, just put him on repeat and have him spinning around for something fun. So have fun with this month's blocks. Have a play, do the fussy cuts you like. You don't have to do exactly the same as me. If the blue and the purple aren't talking to you this month, feel free to mix these with other months that you've previously had. You should have some left over that you can probably pull in other colours, but it's up to you. I just thought the blue was a fun, quirky mix, and the light was something bright and fresh. Okay, see you next month.